All right, welcome everybody to the last week of our Season 2 episodes, which will be this Wednesday, today, and this Friday, July 2nd or June 2nd. Because after this week, we go on summer hiatus and conclude. And then next time when we come back, I can say Season 3. But tonight on episode 61 of Jay's Retro Toys and Games in Season 2, we're looking at a toy that's been very popular. It's the American media franchise created by the comic books artists Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. It follows Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael, four anthropomorphic turtle brothers trained in Jiu-Jitsu who fight evil in New York City. Supporting characters include the Turtles' rat sensei, Splinter, their human friends April O'Neil and Casey Jones, and enemies such as Baxter Stockman, Krang, and their arch-enemy, the Shredder. Most people remember the toys, but the franchise began as a comic book, and Eastman and Laird conceived a parody of elements popular in superhero comics at the time. First issue was published in 1984 by Eastman and Laird's company Mirage Studios and was a surprise success. And then in 1987, they licensed the characters to Playmates Toys, which developed a line of turtle action figures. 1.1 billion of turtle toys were sold between 1988 and 1992, making them the third best-selling toy figures ever at the time. So we're going to be looking at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that's right, today on episode 61 of Jay's Retro Toys and Games. Okay, welcome to this edition. Episode 61 is upon us. May 31st, 2023 is our date for today, and this is the second to last episode of Season 2 of Jay's Retro Toys and Games, and we are so happy and delighted that you have chosen to pick this time to be with us for this interesting 61st episode, which delves into the lives of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So let's delve right into the history. The comic book authors Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird met in Massachusetts and began working on illustrations together. In 1983, Laird invited Eastman to move in with him in Dover, New Hampshire. And that in November, Eastman drew a masked turtle standing on its hind legs, armed with nunchucks. Laird added the words, Teenage Mutant. The concept parodied several elements popular in superhero comics of the time, and the teenagers of New Teen Titans, the mutants of Uncanny X-Men, and the ninjas of Daredevil, combined with the comic tradition of funny animals such as Howard the Duck. Well, Eastman and Laird developed the concept into a comic book, and they considered giving the turtles Japanese names, but instead named them after the Italian Renaissance artists Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, and Michelangelo, which Laird said felt just quirky enough to fit the concept. And they developed a backstory referencing further elements of Daredevil, like Daredevil, the turtles are altered by radioactive material, and their sensei, Splinter, is a play on Daredevil's sensei, Stick. Then, March of 1984, Eastman and Laird founded a comic book company, Mirage Studios, in their home. Using money from a tax refund and a loan from Eastman's uncle, they printed copies of the first issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and advertised it in Comics Buyer's Guide magazine. This attracted the interest of comic distributors, and all 3,000 copies were sold in a few weeks. Sales of further issues continued to climb. Then in 1987, Eastman and Laird licensed Turtles to Playmates Toys, and between 1988 and 1997, Playmates produced Turtle toys, including around 400 figures and dozens of vehicles and playsets. About 1.1 billion of Turtles toys were sold in 4 years, making them the third best-selling toy figures ever at the time, behind G.I. Joe and Star Wars. Influenced by the success of He-Man, G.I. Joe, and Transformers, which had promoted toy lines with animated series, Playmates worked with the animation studio Murakami Wolf Swenson to produce the first Turtles animated series, which premiered in 1987 and ran for almost a decade. It introduced Turtles elements such as their their color-coded masks, catchphrases, love of pizza, and distinct personalities. And to make it acceptable to parents and television networks, the series had a lighter tone than the comics, with no explicitives, less violence, and less threatening villains. In the United Kingdom and some other European regions, the franchise was renamed Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles for the violent connotations of the word ninja. The first Turtles video game was released for the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1989, the first of several developed by the Japanese company Konami. And it sold approximately 4 million copies, making it one of the best-selling NES games. And in response to concerns that the series was drifting from its origins, Eastman and Laird published an editorial in the comic in 1989 writing, "We have allowed the wacky side to happen and enjoyed it very much. All the while, though, we've kept the originals very much ours." Eastman later said, "There was some stuff that we wish we hadn't said yes to," and Laird wrote of his dislike for the softer tone of the animated series. The early 90s saw the commercial peak of the franchise. The first Turtle films were released in 1990, featuring costumes designed by Jim Henson's Creature Shop. It was based more closely on the comic than the animated series, with a darker tone, and it was the fourth highest grossing film of 1990 and the highest grossing independent film at that point, earning more than $200 million worldwide. A sequel, The Secret of the Ooze, was released the following year with a rushed production and a lighter tone. It received weaker reviews and was less successful at the box office. Then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, 1993, was aimed at the Japanese market, the largest foreign market for U.S. films at the time, but failed to see release there and saw weaker reviews and sales. In 1990, a stage musical, Coming Out of Their Shells, featuring the Turtles as a rock band, played 40 shows across the United States. The musical was sponsored by Pizza Hut and promoted with an appearance on the Oprah Winfrey Show. A soundtrack album and VHS were released. After the animated series ended, a live-action television series, Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation, was created in 1997 with Saban Entertainment. It introduced a fifth female turtle, Venus de Milo. The series was canceled after one season. Laird later said it was the only licensed turtle project he truly regrets. Well, Eastman sold his share of the Turtles franchise to Laird in 2000. In 2003, 4Kids Entertainment launched a new animated Turtles series, which ran for 7 seasons, concluding in 2009. And Laird had a role in the production, creating a closer adaptation of the original comic. The computer-animated Turtles film, TMNT, was released in 2007 and earned $95 million at the box office. On October 21st, 2009, it was announced that Laird had sold the franchise to Viacom. He said he had He said he had tired of working on Turtles, writing, "I am no longer that guy who carries his sketchbook around with him and draws in it every chance he gets." In August of 2011, IDW Publishing launched a new Turtles comic series with Eastman as co-writer and illustrator. A third animated series premiered in September of 2012 on Nickelodeon and ran for 5 seasons before ending in 2017. A fourth live-action Turtles film, produced by Platinum Dunes, Nickelodeon Movies, and Paramount Pictures, directed by Jonathan Liebesman and produced by Michael Bay, was released on August 8th of 2014. It received negative reviews, but was a box office success. A sequel, Out of the Shadows, directed by Dave Green, was released in June of 2016. And a fourth animated series, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, premiered in 2018 and ran for 2 seasons. A film sequel to the series released in 2022 on the streaming service Netflix. Then in 2021, Deadline Hollywood reported that a live-action reboot produced by Bay was in development. Mutant Mayhem, an animated film produced by Seth Rogen, is scheduled for theatrical release in August this year. So, in most versions, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are created when 4 baby turtles are exposed to radioactive ooze, transforming them into humanoids. They fight evil in New York City, where they reside in the sewers. Leonardo, the leader, is the most disciplined and skilled turtle, an expert swordsman. He wields 2 katana and wears a blue bandana. Raphael, the strongest and most hot-headed turtle, wears a red bandana and uses a pair of sai. Donatello uses his intellect to invent gadgets and vehicles. He wears a purple mask and uses a bow staff. And Michelangelo is the least disciplined and most fun-loving turtle, and is usually portrayed as the fastest and most agile. He wears an orange bandana and uses nunchucks. Splinter is a mutant rat who is the wise adoptive father of the turtles and teaches them ninjutsu. In some iterations, he was once the pet rat of Ninja Master Hamato Yoshi. In others, he is a mutated Yoshi. The Turtles are assisted by April O'Neil, who is variously depicted as a news reporter, lab assistant, or genius computer programmer. In most versions, she is pursued romantically by Casey Jones, a hockey mask-wearing vigilante who usually becomes an ally of the Turtles. The Turtles' nemesis is the Shredder, who leads the criminal ninja clan known as the Foot. His real identity is usually the ninja Oroku Saki. And in most versions, the Shredder's second in command is Karai, a skilled martial artist. In some iterations, she is the Shredder's daughter. The Shredder allies with Baxter Stockman, a mad scientist, and Krang, an alien warlord. Krang was introduced in the original animated series and was inspired by the Utram race for the comics. Also created for the series were the Shredder's buffoonish henchmen Bebop and Rocksteady, a mutant rhinoceros, and a warthog. Eastman and Laird's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles premiered in May of 1984 at a comic book convention held at a local Sheraton hotel in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. It was published by their company, Mirage Studios, in an oversized magazine-style format using black and white artwork on cheap newsprint, limited to a print run of 3,000 copies. It was initially intended as a one-shot, but due to its popularity, it became an ongoing series. And after publication was temporarily assumed by Image Comics for the 3rd volume, Laird, by then the sole owner of the franchise, and Lawson relaunched the main series at Mirage with a 4th volume in 2001. Following the sale of the franchise to Nickelodeon in late 2009, Laird retained the right to continue the Mirage series. but no issues have been released since the release of number 32 in 2014, and Mirage Studios was wound down in 2021. All total, the main Mirage series lasted for 129 issues, spanning 4 separate volumes of 62, 13, 23, and 32 issues respectively. Additional one-shot issues and miniseries were published over the years. Mirage also published a companion book entitled Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which was designed to fill in the gaps of continuity in the TMNT universe. In 1996, Image Comics co-founder Eric Larson, seeing that there were no TMNT comics in active publication, oversaw a relaunch of the comics through Highbrow Productions, his studio at Image, with writing by Gary Carlson and art by Frank Fosco. The third volume of the main series, intended as a continuation of the Mirage comics, saw Splinter become a bat, Donatello a cyborg, Leonardo lose a hand, and Raphael become a scarred and assume the identity of the new Shredder. The series was canceled in 1999 after 23 issues without a conclusion. In 2018, IDW began reprinting the series in full color as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Urban Legends, and commissioned Carlson and Fusco to create 3 additional issues to tie up the unfinished story. From 1988 to 95, Archie Comics published Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures, a series aimed at a younger audience, initially adapting episodes of the first animated series. It soon moved to original storylines. The main series ran for 72 issues. In addition, there were numerous annuals, specials, and miniseries. An ongoing spin-off series, Mighty Mutant Animals, featuring a team of supporting characters. A monthly comic inspired by the 2003 TV series was published by Dreamwave Productions from June to December 2003, and it was written by Peter David and illustrated by LaShawn Thomas. The first 4 issues, which were the only ones directly adapted from the TV series, the story was told from the perspectives of April, Baxter, Casey, and a pair of New York City police officers. In 2011, IDW Publishing acquired the license to publish new collections of Mirage storylines and a new ongoing series. The first issue of the new series was released in August of that year. Eastman and Tom Waltz wrote the book, with Eastman and Dan Duncan providing art. In 2017, issue number 73 of the comic was published, making it the longest-running comic series in its franchise's history. In addition to the main series and the spin-offs set within its continuity, IDW also published comics based on the 2012 Turtles animated series and the 2018 animated series Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Then you have the Turtles that have appeared in several manga series. They had a comic strip that was written and illustrated by Dan Berger that began in 1990. And now we go to the television series. This is where the toys really kind of, I think, took off, because it was from there that everybody got into the show and wanted the toys to go with them. So debuting in 1987 as a 5-part miniseries and becoming a regular Saturday morning syndicated series on October 1st, 1988, the first animated series follows the adventures of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and their allies as they battle the Shredder, Krang, and numerous other villains and criminals in New York City. The property was changed considerably from the darker toned comics to make it more suitable for children and the families. Produced by Fred Wolf Films, the series ran for 10 seasons and ended in 1996. In addition to the American series, a Japan-exclusive 2-episode anime original video animation series was made in 1996 titled Mutant Turtles Shaojin Zensu Shen. The OVA is similar in tone to the 1987 TV series and uses the same voices from TV Tokyo's Japanese dub of the 1987 TV series. It featured the Turtles as superheroes that gained costumes and superpowers with the use of mutastones, while Shredder, Bebop, and Rocksteady gained supervillain powers within the use of a dark mutastone. 1997 and 1998, a live-action series, Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation, aired on Fox. It introduced a female turtle, Venus de Milo, skilled in the mystical arts of the shinobi. The Next Mutation Turtles made a guest appearance on Power Rangers in Space. The Next Mutation was canceled after one season of 26 episodes. In 2003, a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series produced by 4Kids Entertainment began airing on the Fox Box, later renamed 4Kids TV, programming block, and it later moved to the CW 4Kids block. The series was co-produced by Mirage Studios, and Mirage owned 1/3 of the rights to the series. Mirage's significant stake in creative control resulted in a cartoon that hews more closely to the original comics, creating a darker and mature tone than the 1987 cartoon, though still considered appropriate for younger viewers. This series lasted until 2009, ending with a feature-length television movie titled Turtles Forever, which was produced in conjunction with the 25th anniversary of the franchise. Then Nickelodeon acquired the global rights to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the Mirage Group and 4Kids Entertainment, Inc., and announced a new CGI animated television series. The 2012 version is characterized by anime-like iconography and emphasis on mutagen continuing to wreak havoc on the everyday lives of the turtles and their enemies. In addition, the tone of this version is similar to the original series, but also features a handful of serious episodes as well. The series ran for 5 seasons and ended in 2017. And then Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was the second Nickelodeon-produced animated series in the franchise and premiered in September of 2018. It returned to using 2D animation while also using some anime iconography and was characterized by its lighter humor. The series aired between 2018 and 2020 and was followed by a feature film released on Netflix in 2022. Then you have all the films that we just talked about before. They had starred in 6 theatrical feature films and then a reboot. And there's one set to release in 2023 called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem sometime this August. And we're going to stop there because when we come back on Friday, we're going to look at the merchandise, the toys, the video games, all the good stuff. Also, the other media, the food tie-ins, the concert tours, the roller coasters and amusement rides, and to sum it up, the parodies. We'll all cover that and wrap up the final episode of Jay's Retro Toys and Games for Season 2 coming this Friday. So we've got a big show coming up to you on June 2nd. Stay tuned for it. Well, let's see. Yeah, because tomorrow's June 1st, and then we go to Friday, June 2nd. And that will complete Season 2 of our great run here on YouTube. I'm Jason Icanio, thanking you very much for this Part 1 edition of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We wrap up Part 2 on Friday, and we hope that you'll have a wonderful in-between time, a rest to gather all this information. You'll see this episode being uploaded tomorrow, sometime later on in the evening. So be prepared for that. Okay? From all of us here at the WJDC studios in beautiful Vito, Florida, I'm Jason Icanio. Have a great night. And remember, be honest, be real, and keep it simple, stupid. Kiss. We will see you on Friday. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Democracy Network for great more content like this one.